everyone. Good afternoon, especially to you, Ma'am and Sir. So, I am May A. Tatoy, the first reporter of Group 3. Before I start my discussion, let me introduce our topic, which is the elements of designing qualitative research.
Report ang ako ang i-discuss. So first is all about abduction as a guiding principle and qualitative research design. So, there are three ways to reason and make conclusions, which is the deduction, induction, and abduction. So deduction, this is when you start with a general rule and use it to make a specific conclusion. Ang example niya is all humans are mortal. Socrates is human. So therefore, Socrates is mortal. Next is induction. This is when you make a general conclusion based on specific observations. And example niya is you see many swans and they are all white. So you conclude that all swans are white. Next is abduction. This is when you make an educated guess or hypothesis based on incomplete information. Example, you find a piece of torn fabric near a crime scene. You hypothesize that it might have come from the criminal's. Next is research design. Research design is the planning process of a study. So na-involve po diri daw ang defining the research problem and questions, figuring out how to collect and analyze data to answer those questions. So, ang research design daw kay dili lang gid daw siya pang one-time na task, pero rather an ongoing process that happens throughout the study. Mao na to siya. Tapos, pagkahuman kay ang research design is naa siya'y duha ka approaches, which is ang linear sequential design. So, ang linear sequential design is researchers start with a clear, well-defined research problem and question. The problem is often based on existing theory and research. The design must follow a straightforward by step-by-step process. So, next is iterative design. So, kani siya is researchers begin with a broad, open-ended research problem called a foreshadowed problem. And, mao na to siya. So, mao to siya ang research design. Next is the case of Sherlock Holmes and the art of abduction. Sherlock Holmes' approach to solving mysteries illustrates the concept of abduction. So, ang abduction involves combining existing knowledge from various sources, making intelligent guesses and inferences, selecting plausible hypotheses, or creating new ones. Ang abduction is nag-require siya both critical thinking or analyzing information, and creating thinking or making novel connections. Sunod kay theoretical agnosticism, pluralism, and playfulness. This topic discusses the idea that data and knowledge are not objective truths but rather interpretations and constructions. However, this doesn't mean that data is solely the researcher's perspective. So, ang authors argue the authors argue for a middle ground between objectivism and subjectivism. So, ang objectivism is the data is an objective truth. Tapos, ang subjectivism is solely the researcher's perspective. So, instead, they propose a transactional approach where knowledge is constructed through the interaction between the researcher or organism and the environment. So, mauna siya ang theoretical agnosticism, pluralism, and playfulness. Sunod kay abduction and research, design, and conduct. Kani siya kay si Percy daw kay naay tulo ka stages of inquiry. So, abduction. Ang abduction kay researchers develop hypothesis to explain surprising data. And deduction kay researchers test by hypothesis by making predictions based on the hypothesis, conducting experiments, comparing predictions with actual results. with yes. And induction, researchers analyze the result to determine if the hypothesis and confirm or disconfirm. So kabalo naman gyud tani ninyo no kung unsa ni siya, kung unsa ning hypothesis, kung ma-reject ba na siya or dili. Nya diri ana ta sa quality of abduction. So kani siya kay naga-realize daw siya sa trustworthy kay research methods, rigor and data collection, credibility in the research process. Even if you acknowledge that data is constructed, influenced by both researcher and participant. It's essential to be aware of your own input and biases. So, dili gid bawal gid ang biases gid tanho. And remain open and sensitive to the research context and participants' constructivist approaches. Don't excuse poor research practices. Instead, emphasize the need for thoughtful, systematic, and rigorous data collection. So, mo proceed na ta sa to ang next topic, which is the developing research questions, the social lives of ideas, interests, and questions. So, research questions, however practically understood, appear central to the research enterprises. So, they may be explicitly marked as research questions or implicitly orientated to true concepts such as aims and objectives or phrases such as we sought to explore. So, mauto siya ang research questions. Next is the social lives of ideas and interests. So, researchers' initial ideas are influenced by personal, practical, conceptual, and contextual factors. However, it is rare to know what motivates researchers to focus on a specific topic. Okay nya diri aday nga mga part is ako ana lang ni siyang gi-summarize para mas dali na lang siyang masabtan. So, diri sa initial research ideas kay in every general terms, our initial research interests can and do emerge from our intersection of different types of trajectories. Nya diri sa shaping initial research kay ideas moving a general curiosity into concrete terms ingon daw si Flick 2018, from a research idea or interest into something that feels more coherent, also routinely emerge from the intersection of a range of trajectories. Diri na pod sa reviewing initial research ideas, the range of work outlined above seeks to shape your ideas as well as help you feel more confident that your idea has a potential. And then there is the social lives of question. So part of the social life of research question is the moments of initiation, shaping, and refinement in and through discussion, and as we just focus on reading around the area. So lastly, there is engaging research question. So kanito siya nga chapter kay naga-shown siya og briefly shown siya og research ideas og maka-interest siya og more nga mga formal research questions develop and na kanang ma-adapt siya over time. So kani daw is you need to engage with the work in your specific area of interest as well as relevant methodological or theoretical work. We also need to find ways to slow down how we discover, read, and think with the research literature we are interested and exploring. So, mao to siya. Our third topic or my last discussion is all about selecting a sample. So, here a brief explanation. Sampling in qualitative research is often overlooked, but it is crucial to have transparent and clear procedures for selecting units of analysis. So, ang naa dito sa selecting a sample is basic decisions, requirements, and constraints. So, kanina pud siya kay ako ra ni siyang gi-summarize para mas dali ninyo siyang masabtan. So, sampling is a crucial part of qualitative research that requires careful consideration early on. Four key factors influence sampling decisions. So, first is ang research purpose. Kani siya kay naga-aims siya ay kani siya kay naga-aims, goals and desired level of generalizability. O ang research specifics kay unique aspects of the project and academic area. O ang ikatuluan niya is broader context, external factors that impact the research. Then last niya is researcher's profile. Syempre, the researcher's background, skills, and biases. Mao na to siya. Diri na pud ta sa purpose of qualitative and empirical research. So when considering the purpose of qualitative research, nani siya duha ka main goals. So, ang isa ni niya ka kuan, ang isa ra kung naano niya, ang main goal ani niya isa kay first-hand, aiming for interpretative understanding of social action to explain its causes and effects, ingon ni Weber, 1947. This approach focuses on gaining a deeper understanding of people's experiences and meanings. In addition to research purpose, other factors influence sampling. First is research questions, guides the selection of relevant units of study. Second, theoretical framework, helps identify the required units of analysis. Third is broader academic context, also plays a role in shaping sampling decision. These factors work together to inform the sampling process. So, mo-proceed na pud ta sa contextual setting. So, ako ara pud gihapon ni siyang gi-summarize. So, qualitative research sampling is influenced by the social context in which it takes place. Cultural and institutional factors can enable sampling, can provide access and opportunities. Second is constraint sampling or limit access and create challenges. These forces shape the sampling process and must be considered when selecting units of study. So next is approaches to qualitative research and their consequences for sampling. Again, ako ara pud gyapon ni siyang gi-summarize. So, different qualitative research approaches have specific sampling requirements. 5 common approaches are case study, grounded theory, ethnography, phenomenology, discourse analysis, and analysis. So, mo to siya. Each approach has its own sampling considerations shaped by its theoretical and epistemological position. So, ang case study is naga-focus siya on a specific case or phenomenon. Ang grounded theory kay naga-aim siya nga to develop theory from data, emphasizing data collection and analysis. Ethnography studies cultures and societies. Phenomenology explores people's experiences and perceptions. Discourse analysis kay examines communication and language as social practices. So, next is derita sa sampling units and criteria. Kay when selecting cases and sampling units, different criteria are considered based on various factors. Include na dito ang research purpose, contextual factors, research field restrictions, researchers' competences, and inclinations. Last is broader context. These factors can influence the sampling process, guiding the selection of appropriate cases and units. And next is the last of my discussion, designing a sampling strategy. So, when designing a sampling strategy, the research purpose should be the primary guide. This ensures that the sampling process aligns with the study's objectives and goals. And that's all. Once again, I am May A. Tatoy, the first reporter of Group 3. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, especially to you, Sir Kurt and Miss Joanna. So today, I'm going to discuss about being creative resources and qualitative research and rule and impact of CACDA software for design and qualitative research. First topic is being creative with resources and qualitative research. So in this topic, I'll discuss each part. First is the maze running qualitative scholar. Second is using qualitative inquiry as a resource. Third is resources and qualitative inquiry. Fourth is work with everything. Second, next is involve everyone, be everywhere. Resources for designing qualitative research. So first, kanisha is kanang main point lang sa each. So, the first topic is being creative with resources and qualitative research. So, ang main point niya is that which studies people's opinions and experiences is valuable for solving societal problems. Even though it sometimes lacks funding, researchers find ways to make it work and create useful results. Next is maze. The picture shows a maze. The main idea is that doing qualitative research is like navigating a maze. You need to be creative and use different resources, like clues, people, places, to find your way to the answer. Next is using qualitative inquiry in resources. The main point is that qualitative research, like studying people's opinions and experiences, is important for making the world a better, even if it's hard to get money for it. Researchers need to be creative to succeed. Next, resources and qualitative inquiry. Ang main point niya is that when doing a qualitative research, learning about people's experiences, we need to be creative about how we use your resources. It's not just about money. It's about using everything you have to get the job done. There are three pathways towards qualitative inquiry that they offer. First is work with everything. Second is involve everyone. Third is be everywhere. First, let's give the main point of work with everything. So by the word work with everything, and the main point niya is that in qualitative research, you don't always need a lot of money or special equipment. You can be creative and use whatever you find to gather information. Next is involve everyone. The main point is that involving lots of different people in your research, like students and community members, is a really good way to get information and make your research better. It's better than just doing it alone. Next is be everywhere. The main point is that working together with many people on a research project is a great way to get lots of different ideas and make the research better. It's also important to use all kinds of places, like the internet and real-world places, to find information. Lastly, on the first topic is resources for designing qualitative research. Ang main point niya is that when you do research, you can be creative about how you gathered information. So we don't need to be afraid to use different methods and places to find your answers. It's like a treasure hunt. Second topic is role and impact of CACDA software for designs in qualitative research. In this topic, I will still discuss each part. Research goals and methodological fit, how software changes the way you design a project. Once you have decided on a software package, data archiving, think about the end before you begin, data preparation, data file formats, file size and document length, interview transcription, transcripts for focus groups, import of open-ended questions from surveys, data file names, project management, teamwork, first preparatory tasks in the software, organizing data, writing memos. 5 memos is project memo, research diary, ideas and to-do memo, team memos, theory or literature memos. Rule and impact related to coding. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Summary. Rule and impact of CACDA software for designs in qualitative research. The main point is that special computer programs can help researchers to analyze information from interviews and other sources much more easily and efficiently. This makes the research better. Next is research goals and methodological fit. The main point is computer programs can help researchers study information more easily. They can organize lots of information quickly and help researchers find patterns and connections. This makes the research more accurate and easier to share with others. It's important to plan how to use the computer program before starting, so the information is ready for the program to use. Next is how software changes the way you design a project. Using computer programs to analyze research changes how you plan your project. You need to think about how to get your information ready for the computer to read. It also lets you work with more information and share the work with others. Next is once you have decided on a software package. So before using software to study research information, you need to plan carefully. This includes make sure your information is in the right format for the software and knowing how to organize it to answer your questions. It's like planning a trip so you don't get lost. So data archiving, think about the end before you begin. So when doing research, it's important to decide or early on if you want to share information with others later. You need to tell the people you're studying about this and get their permission. There are places that keep this kind of information safe for others to use. So data preparations, data file formats. So computer programs for research need information to be in a specific format. Make sure your files are the right type before you start. Pictures, videos, and sounds might need special ways to be used. If you have online interviews, there are ways to easily change the recordings into text. Next is file size and document length. Very long documents or videos can make computer programs slow. It's better to break them into smaller parts before using them in the program. These programs are for studying words, not huge amounts of other kinds of information. Next is interview transcription. When you're writing down interviews, there are different ways to show who is speaking. It's best to use the same way each time for each person so the computer program can understand it easily. You can use real names or made up names, but make sure it's clear who said that. Next is transcript for focus groups. Some computer programs can easily organize information from group discussions. They automatically label who said what, making it easier to compare what different people said later. Import of open-ended question from surveys. If you're using a computer program to study answers from surveys, don't just put in all the information at once. The program has special ways to handle this kind of information, so check the instruction to do it correctly. Next is data file names. So, Kalisha, it's important to give your research files good names. Simple numbers aren't very helpful. A good name might include words that describe the file like the word interview and a number or a date. This helps you find things later. Next is project management. When using computer programs for research, it's really important to make backup copies of your work often. So losing your work would be a big problem. If you're working on a big project, keep copies that show how your work changed over time. Next is teamwork. When many people work together on a research project using a computer software, it's important to plan carefully how you will share the work and combine your results. Make sure everyone understands how to use the software the same way to avoid problems. Next is first preparatory task in the software. So organizing data. After putting your research information into a computer program, it's a good idea to organize it using labels. These labels help you find specific information easily and make it easier to study later. Next is writing memos. So writing memos is writing notes and comments as you do research is important. Don't worry, we don't need to worry about making them perfect. Just write down your thoughts and ideas. This will help us understand our research better. Next is project memo. Part na siya gapon siya na 5 nga part sa writing memos. So first, ano siya ang project memo. Project memo is write a note at the start of your project. Explain what you're studying and what question you want to answer. Next is research diary. So research diary keep a record of your work as you go. This helps us to remember what we did and is useful later when we write about our research. Next is ideas and to-do memo. So ideas and to-do memo make a list of ideas and things you need to do for your project. You can add to this list as you work. Next is team memos. When a group works together on a project, they can use memos to share ideas and plans for meetings. This helps everyone stay on the same page. Lastly, in writing memos is theory or literature memos. These memos add information from books or articles to the project. They act like reminders of important ideas and can connect the project to bigger ideas. Next is rule and impact related to coding. Before starting a research project, it's important to decide how you will organize and label your information. The way you do this will affect what computer program you use and how you use it. Next is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So sometimes people blame computer programs for not working well. It's better to first plan what you want to do in your research. Then figure out how to use the program to do it. Having a teacher or helper who knows the program can really help. Lastly is summary. So summary, choosing the right computer program for your research is important. Don't just pick one without thinking. It's like choosing the right tool for a job. Sometimes it's even better to not use a computer program at all. Thank you.
So, hi everyone. My name is Nean Arciblesica Arbatumalaki. Akong topic is all about generalization as an issue for qualitative research of the impact of funding on ways qualitative is thought about and designed. So, ang overview ani akong topic is historical of generalization in qualitative research, internal and external generalization, improving the transferability of research findings. So, mauna siya sa first topic. So, sa second topic is introduction, setting some parameters for the chapter. The impact of funding bodies, priorities, and agendas when designing qualitative research. Prioritize methodologies, method, and version of methods. The impact of funding fine print on how qualitative is designed. Why we cannot turn a blind eye funding as part of research marketplace currency. Rounding of this discussion where to from here. So, muna ang overview sa first ug second topic. Historical of generalization and qualitative. So, the history of generalization and qualitative research, tracking it back to Florian 1934 develop of analytic induction. Unlike the then dominant approach of testing existing theories, propose inductively building causal theories from data, revising them whenever exception arose. This reflects a positivist belief in discovering universal causal laws. So, ang ingon daw diri ay sa una daw kay lahi na way kay murag na siya limit sa pagsusuri ng mga umiiral na theories sa pamamagitan sa new data. So gilahad diri ni Zenai kay ang isa ka inductive process kung asa ang causal na theories kay nabuo mismo gikan sa data or datos. Sa way ni Binay ki imbis tanawon ang dugay na theory gamit ang bag-o na information, bali naghimo siya og bag-o na paraan para mahimo ang theory about sa cause and effect. So, importante ni na way ang pagbag-o sa mga theory pag naay mabalan or matuklasan na exception. So, this discussion highlight ang pagbag-o na gi-introduce na work ni Zinai Nike sa method of qualitative. So, mao to siya ang historical of generalization in qualitative research. Let's proceed to the external and external generalization. So, internal generalization involved interpreting patterns within a specific group data, while external generalization apply those finding a broad population. Qualitative research, focusing on in-depth understanding, often struggles with generalization due to small sample sizes in specific contexts, making broader application of finding difficult. So, diri gidiscuss sab diri ang external and internal generalization. Makita nimo diri ang issue na mahimong problem sa qualitative research about sa generalization. So, when we talk about internal generalization, so nag-focus tas kakayahan sa pagsabot or to understand o pag-explain sa pattern of relationship sulod sa isa ka particular na group. So, kani siya kay naghatag siya sense sa mga data collected gikan sa particular group. So, walang internal generalization involves applying the findings to a broader context or population. Kani siya kay tungkol sa pagtan-aw gud like kanang relevant ba ang one group to another group or situation. So, ang qualitative kay nag-focus siya sa in-depth understanding and rich description. Kay maka-faces silang challenge when it comes to generalization. So, ang mga findings kay nag-base siya sa small sample size o specific context. So, mao na ang external and internal generalization. So, improving the transferability of research findings. So, transferability in research focuses on making findings applicable across diverse contexts. This is achieved through detailed description of the research process, enabling others to adjudge the relevance to their own situation. So, when we say improving the transferability of research finding, it means paghimo og mga result sa research na mas magamit pa or more applicable sa different context or situation. Mahimo ni by providing details description of the research context, participants, and methodology. Para sugton gud ang mga researcher na tan-awon kung ang mga nabal-an kay related or relevant to their own circumstances. So, kani kay all about sa paghimo og mga result sa research na mas makatabang or mas pakinabangan. So, mao to siya ang transferability in research. So, let's proceed to the second topic. So, the impact of funding on ways qualitative research is thought about and designs. So, introduction, setting some parameters for the chapter gi-establish diri nga ang qualitative research design kay dynamic process na naay mga kaugnay na desisyon about sa layunin, contribution og methodology. So, gi-highlight diri ang 3 interdependent components, ang theoretical, methodological, og ethical consideration. Gi-introduce diri ang funding as a fourth na importante na mga factor na naka-influence sa research design process. Mo to siya ang setting some parameter of the chapter. So, let's proceed to the impact funding bodies, priorities, and agendas when designing qualitative. So, funding for qualitative research comes from public and private sectors, including government schemes, commercial corporation, and nonprofit organization. Funding can be direct monetary support or indirect, such as providing specialist staff or equipment. So, when we say funding priorities and agendas and qualitative research, it means maabot pa ni siya higit sa simpleng pagbibigay ng financial na support o lahi-lahi na funding or of source like government, private sector, sector, profit. Kani siya kay naay lahi-lahi na priorities o agenda na nakaapek sa research scope, research focus, scope, and even the ethical consideration. So, mauna ang funding for, the impact of funding bodies, priorities, and agenda when designing qualitative research. So, let's proceed to the prioritize methodologies, method, and version of method. So, funding agencies biases towards specific methodologies, often favoring quantitative approaches over qualitative ones, perpetuate a conservative view of research evidence. This bias stems from preconceived notion about what constitution valid scientific research and impact the type of research question investigate and the method used to answer them. So, diri kay gi-explain diri kung how funding agencies exert significant influence on research practice by prioritizing specific methodologies, methods, and variation. Theory. So, kaning prioritizing nag-support siya sa isa ka conservative research environment kay gi-explain diri kung unsa ang kanang kanang gituring na acceptable evidence ba ang pagpili og kanang particular na methodologies and associated method is predicated on the belief that these approaches will yield data suitable for supporting predetermined research outcomes. So, this concept of version of method kay nag-highlight og fact na ang particular na pagtuman sa mga napili gud na method kay kagustuhan sa mga agency. So, ang mga napili na decision sa mga agency kay dili lang nag-focus sa mga research question investigated but also intern na sad ang mga method na ginagamit sa pagpangita sa mga answer. So, mo to ang prioritize methodologies and so diri na pud ta sa the impact of funding fine print on how qualitative research is designed. So, when we say funding fine print on how qualitative research is designed, it means naka-affect or how the researcher is designed. Kanina, mga way kay naka-affect siya sa mga data collection method, data sharing agreement, and even the research question. So, need sa mga researcher na mag-amping or ay careful para masunod ang ethical compliance and avoid compromising the integrity of their study. So, mao na ang the impact of mao na ang fine print on how qualitative is designed. So, diri ta sa why we cannot turn a blind eye funding as a part of research marketplace currency. So, why we cannot turn a blind eye funding as a part of currency. Research is even qualitative inquiry requires funding to proceed. Ignoring this reality is impossible because research operate within a marketplace where researchers exchange their work for funding from various buyers including funders, government agency, and journal. So, gi-explain diri, impossible na i-ignore ang influence of funding on research. So, ang mga researcher na nagtrabaho or ga-operate sa research marketplace where they sell their research to funders. So, therefore, ang funding siya neutral source of support. Kani siya kay currency that shape researchers' priority and methods. So, this ignore marketplace dynamic would be ignore a fundamental aspect of how research conducted. So, mao na siya ang why we cannot turn a blind eye. So, diri na ta sa pinakalas na topic nako. Round of this discussion, where to from. So, di na kay nako basahon tanan. So, mao na siya ang kani siya ang definition. So, kani na part reflect on the significant impact of funding consideration on the design and execute of qualitative research. Gi-emphasize diri ang decision sa funding na naka-influence siya not only the method and the theoretical framework but also the ethical consideration. Gidiscuss ang inherent challenge in navigate the tension between remaining true to the principle of qualitative inquiry while acknowledging the realities of the contemporary research funding landscape sa author. So, kani na mga process kay napilian para sa mga disenyo para ma-maintain the integrity and relevance of the research. Relevance gyapon ang research. So, mao na ang rounding of this discussion. So, mao na tanan akong topic. And thank you.
And I am the last reporter of Group 3. And my topic is Ethical Entanglements Conceptualizing Research Purposes Design in the Contemporary Political World.
And this is my topic.
The first one is positioning qualitative research as always already concerned with values and ethical entanglement. It emphasizes that research is always an ethical performance influenced by philosophical perspectives and existing power structures. The second is ethics and post-positivism inquiry as object approximation of reality. In contrast, post-positivism acknowledges that reality is never fully revealed and that research is a process of approximating truth. The third is research ethics with or in post-positivism. It traces how ethical perspectives have evolved influenced by Enlightenment assumption and practices. And the last of my discussion of my first topic is justice, ethics, and the multiplicities of critical research. They highlight how research design can be influenced by various theoretical perspectives, including post-feminism, queer theory, and post-human perspective.
And the last is the policy of rigor, examining checklist criteria as an indicator of quality.
And this is the last topic that I will discuss. So what is the scope of qualitative inquiry? First is descriptive research, usually focused on objective phenomena. What can be seen, heard, or read, or elicited and recorded using some method of data collection, including measurements. The second is interpretive research. It is explore phenomena that are objective, often poorly defined or certain lay concept
that are undeveloped and inadequately defined for scientific explanation. The next is verification of descriptive strategies. It involves employing various methods to ensure that the descriptions are grounded in the data and reflect the perspectives and experience of participants accurately. The next is verification of interpretive strategies. This involves demonstrating how interpretations are grounded in the data, are coherent, and can be supported through multiple lines of evidence, often using techniques like member checking and theoretical regulation. The next is data collection, interviews. Data collection through interviews uses a semi-structured approach with predetermined questions to elicit precise information from expert participants. The next is saturation. It is for interpretive research as saturation is more complex. Determined when multiple indicators show comparable and predictable patterns, signifying that the researchers feels confident in their understanding of the phenomenon. The next is conduct of analysis and rigor. It is focuses on accuracy and precision, involving coding, iterator reliability checks, and ensuring data consistency. The next is the reliability and trustworthiness. It is ensured for accuracy and consistency, often using methods like transcription, verification, and member checking to confirm data accuracy. And the last but not the least, validity. Validity is for interpretive research. Validity is established by demonstrating that the interpretations are well grounded in the data, coherent, and supported by multiple lines of evidence, ensuring the findings are accurate, reflect to the participants' and experience and perspectives. And that's the end of my report. Thank you for listening.